Okay, we're now in our Asian news and analysis. And I've chosen a few items here. The first, of course, is from Global Times, May 11, 2016.
Yes.
The headline is, China opposes U.S. distortion of navigation freedom. This is from the spokesman, Mr. Lu. Anyway, according to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, foreign vessels enjoy the right of innocent passage through territorial waters, but military vessels are not endowed with the same right. So I'm going to ask you, but I'm just looking for the name of the Foreign Ministry spokesman of China, yes. Mr. Lu Kang, Foreign Ministry spokesman, now, in the Philippines, I think there's this issue of the FONOPS, freedom of operation, freedom of navigation operations of the U.S. is very much in the news.
Yes.
But people are not made to understand that there are two kinds of freedom of navigation.
That's a very good
merchant and commercial and military.
That's very good distinction.
What can you say about that?
I am very glad you raised this in your TV show, because most of us are bombarded in the media. We always think that it's only commercial, but actually what China and the other Asian countries are not happy about is militarization of the sea lanes, I think.
That's right, that's right. Well, that is in connection with our second item. This is an article by Darshana M. Baruha, and the title is What India Thinks About the South China Sea. And it's a very long article. This is March 29, 2016.
Yes.
And it starts with a discussion of the exclusive economic zones and so on. Yes. And Mr. Barua says, there is a difference in interpretation in the right to military passage through EEZs. So we have a map of the different EEZs there. The U.S. claims that every nation has the right to military passage through another country's EEZ, exclusive economic zone. Whereas China claims that the coastal state, like China, Philippines, anybody who has a coast and therefore an EEZ, that the coastal state reserves the right to evict a foreign military ship from its EEZ, exclusive economic zone. The reason that the U.S. does not specify freedom of military navigation is because most nations in Asia are on the same page, are in agreement with China, including India. And this is an Indian writing about it.
Yes.
And India is also saying, sure, the traditional practice at sea is freedom of navigation for merchant or commercial fleets. But military, that's another matter. And the report says, many nations, including Vietnam, using various languages, reserve the right to regulate the activities of foreign military ships within the EEZs. India, while signing the UNCLOS, made the declaration, quote, this is a direct quote, the government of the Republic of India understands that the provisions of the convention do not authorize other states to carry out in the exclusive economic zone and on the continental shelf military exercises or maneuvers, in particular, those involving the use of weapons or explosives without the consent of the coastal state.
Thank you for that information.
This is not explained to our people.
Yes. Even me, I thought I'm already well informed. I rarely read this in the local media.
That's the purpose of our discussion and news analysis. And that is why it is important for our audience and our Filipino people, especially the intelligentsia and the students,
to be informed.
To be informed and to read Asian
versions
news
of the truth.
Sources. So as I told our friends, when I wake up, I read Antara News of Indonesia, South China Morning Post, Mainichi Shimbun, Yuri Shimbun.
To get a more balanced view of the world.
To get an Asian view of what is going on in the world. And so, you read tabloid, you said?
No, I read all kinds of papers. Newspapers, broadsheets, tabloid, including internet.
Okay.
all the news.
Well,
I will follow you.
still furthermore on this issue,
Yes.
again from Sputnik, this is a Russian
yes,
news
yes.
website, no?
Yes.
April 22nd, 2016, very recent.
yes.
The title is All for One, How Russia, China, India will solve the South China Sea dispute. And what does the report say? The latest trilateral communique released by the foreign ministers of Russia, China, and India has sent a clear signal that Moscow and New Delhi, India, supports Beijing's position that the South China Sea dispute should not be internationalized, like bringing it to the UN courts and so on, but resolved by the parties concerned. The diplomat editor Ankit Panda wrote in this article. You know? So that's the picture there is Foreign Minister Swaraj of India, and previously was Lavrov, and of course Foreign Minister Wang Yi. I think we have a picture there of the three shaking hands, but never mind. We can show that again later on. So again, did you know about this trilateral meeting?
I just read about it now with you, but I've heard about it before that that is the best way to resolve disputes.
Yes, it's not only the trilateral meeting. You know, we have the next item. Chinese Foreign Minister, Arab counterparts discuss cooperation and ties. This is from Xinhua. This is May 12, very recent, just a few days ago. This is Foreign Minister Wang Yi meeting the Arab ministers, including the Algerian Foreign Minister Abdelkader Messahel. And Mr. Wang Yi briefed Messahel on the historical facts about and China's principled position on the South China Sea issue. And this is what Messahel, the Foreign Minister of Algeria, says. That Algeria fully understands and supports China's position on the issue and supports the settlement of relevant disputes through direct dialogue.
You know the reason they support that? I read because all the neighbors of China have bilateral talks and then concluded their disputes amicably.
Yes, well, for example, very few people in our country know that China and Vietnam has just launched a joint fisheries patrol in the Beibu Gulf. You think about it.
Not only that, they went into bilateral negotiations, I think, for 40 years on the land border.
That's right. The
And
border dispute, land border dispute.
And they settled it already.
They resolved it after long
40
discussion.
Years. And if you have 3 or 4 or 5 countries, it will take more than 1,000 years. Nothing will happen.
Yes, well, that's why many of the territorial, it's good this one was resolved. No? So which proves that negotiations can reach conclusions that are positive for all sides.
It's like husband and wife. If they quarrel, if you get all the in-laws and the uncles and the neighbors, everybody inside, you will have World War III.
Yeah, I'll get you as my marriage counselor someday.
Yes. But you have to take out everybody else. Only the 2 people involved.
Yeah, because I'm discussing these points and I'm raising these news items for analysis. This coming 2 months, the tribunal is expected to come out with a decision, and the Western press is drumming it up. And of course, our own Justice Carpio has said China is isolated here. I think the facts show the truth, that maybe it is the West and the Philippines that are getting isolated from the majority in the world.
I think the Philippines should get the whole world the more balanced view. Because if we just side with the Western view always, they are not really out for our own interests.
Well, we're losing out in the situation, in this situation. You know, Chicago is getting Chinese trains. Indonesia is getting
New
Chinese
York, Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Thailand and Indonesia.
Thailand, of course, in Asia, in Europe too, London, I think. It's also trying to be the financial conduit of Chinese investments.
And all our neighbors are getting China tourists and trade, while we are being left out.
Yeah, we discussed this with your friend George C. here.
Yes.
And I think Japan is getting 5 million tourists a year from
Thailand
China.
has 8 million last year.
8 million.
And these are not ordinary tourists. They're more affluent than the Western tourists.
Yeah. Well, we did report that from 2014 to 2015, Philippine or Chinese tourists from China
Yes.
to the Philippines went up from 400,000 to half a million.
Not
There is
yet.
an
I think
increase.
not yet half a million.
Not yet
yet.
exactly, but
Yes.
it went up almost 100,000.
If Thailand has 8 million, we should get at least
1
4
or
or
2.
5 million at least.
Your
Oh,
ambition is higher than
yes,
mine.
yes, yes.
1 or 2 million is
Would be fantastic.
would be already a big boost to our
Yes,
tourism economy. And so this is the advantage of understanding that dialogue and communication can really do wonders.
And even if we disagree on certain issues, you don't have to freeze the entire relationship.
That's right. I think that has
Yes.
been stressed again and again from the Chinese side.
Yes.
That in the entire gamut of
Yes, yes.
concerns between the two countries. And I think that's also the message with the U.S.
That's why I congratulate this show. What you're doing is one of those ways to improve understanding between two societies.
That's why this show
Yes.
should have a time at your Kamuning Kapihan.
Yes, we should the Pandesal Forum should invite you one time.
Of course, I'm often there, as you know.
Yes, but you as talking and with some other guests.
Yeah, well, we
One
can.
time.
Well, in fact, we do intend to ask
Oh,
you
yes, yes.
to invite us to discuss the anti-war movement
very
that we'd
good.
like to start, no?
That's
Because
very
I think the surveys show that the Filipinos are very concerned about
Yes,
the
yes.
tensions, and the vast majority, 92%,
Yes.
so very concerned about this issue because they do not want the
Chaos.
tension to expand to something that may go out of control.
That's why I am very optimistic. We have a new president. Hopefully, everything will improve. Hopefully, new president, new relationships between us and other countries. Hopefully,
Well, we'll be discussing that in our last segment,
Yes.
which is Philippines-China focus. But before we move on to that, what else can we add to these news items? Well, I just like to stress that Arab countries,
Yes.
Russia, India, are
concerned about this
on the
issue.
same page
yes,
as you and I
yes,
and the Chinese government that issues between sovereign countries should not be internationalized.
Yes,
You have a third party, as you say, if your husband and wife are debating,
and
why
you
bring
have
in
all
the
these
in-laws of both
in-laws
sides?
and uncles, aunties,
uncles,
and all the lawyers who are looking for their fees.
That's right, yeah. And so the Philippines should really open its mind to
Yes.
these developments, and so that we are not isolated.
Yes.
Contrary to what we read and what we hear from those trying to promote this tension between China and the Philippines.
And don't forget, there's a very famous proverb also. A good neighbor is more important than a very far relative or uncle.
Yes.
So you have Western uncles claiming to be your good relative. They cannot really assist us every day.
Okay, and so we also want the neighborhood to be peaceful
Yes, yes.
and prosperous. Okay, I think it's time we take this second break, and we'll have our focus Philippines-China segment, and we'll talk about your president
Yes.
and the pressures on him on this foreign policy
Yes, yes.
question.
I think he could be the hero for the Philippines and Asia.
Let's hope and let's help him.
Yes, he could ease the tension by...
Okay, you can continue with that after
Yes,
this
yes.
break.
Thank you.